Yesterday, over the course of talking about Tua and his untradeable contract.
Tua Tagovailoa.
Tua.
All right, you can stop right there.
Yeah, but hold on. I'm not even a huge fan of Tua.
Okay.
But an unnamed executive told Jonathan Jones of CBS Sports that for a team to take Tua's contract, which is a bad one,
Yes.
the Dolphins would have to offer a first-round pick. And as soon as I saw that,
Wait, so the Dolphins would get rid of Tua, but then also have to give a first-round pick.
correct, they would have to entice a team to take back a bad contract.
Is
and
he
it
that
is.
bad? He's not that bad.
Well,
is
the contract is, and yes, I think
got
he's,
it. Got it.
look, he's damaged goods. Let's just have an open conversation about him. He's young, so I had him a little bit higher on my quarterback chart only because when you're young, there's always that chance.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is he's not a healthy player. And I would be very surprised if Tua turned his career around. It would not surprise me as much if Kyler Murray turned his career around.
Right.
But this is not about Tua, and that's what I don't want people to get lost in. As a New York Jet fan, with oodles of cap space this year and next year, and no clear plan at quarterback, I absolutely would be interested in absorbing that abomination of a contract if they're going to give me a first-round pick. Now, does that qualify as a stupid opinion? Or am I just smarter than everybody else?
You're going to make me think about this for a second. Because if Miami is stupid enough to give you Tua, and it's a big contract you got to take on. I'm just looking at the number right now. His cap hit for 2026 is $56 million.
And that's the cap hit for the team that acquires him. So I go into this eyes wide open, ladies and gentlemen. The Jets would be eating up more than half their cap space to absorb this contract. But in the hypothetical Jonathan Jones puts out there, we'd be getting a first-round pick. And let me tell you something. That's valuable.
So you're getting a first-round pick. Would it be this year or next year? Because if it's next year, then I can see it. Because we already have talked about this. I believe the Jets need a win. This is why I've always said Kirk Cousins fits what Aaron Glenn and Frank Reich want to do offensively. So go get Kirk Cousins. You win some games, and it doesn't even matter because you have 3 first-round picks.
Yeah.
So if you're good but not quite good enough, and you're picking 10th, you can get to number 1.
Yeah.
If you want to, because you have enough picks. Now, if it's another first-round pick,
yes.
So you're taking a shot instead of Kurt. It's now Tua Tagovailoa.
Correct.
And you have 4 first-round picks in 2027. That actually might be interesting.
You're damn right it
because
would be.
Tua, as much as we kind of, I guess, mock is the way to think about him, because he just can't stay healthy. A lot of people started, saying his career was going to be over because of all the concussions. He really hasn't had an issue in the last year or so, even though he's had other injuries. But when he's healthy, he led the league in passing yards one year. Like, we forget that. He had 4,600 yards a couple of years ago. He threw a ton of touchdowns in some of those seasons, but he's been massively inconsistent. So it's a roll of the dice, like a major roll of the dice. However, if you get a first round pick for him as well, and it's next year, it's worth it.
Well, that's what it's about. I want to make this very clear, and I'll give you another cross-sport comparison because I think that the idea of trading for Tua makes people barf, and they're not going to listen to anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to be very descriptive to try to show you why this makes sense.
Right.
Many, many years ago, the New York Mets made a trade for Robinson Cano, or did they? They made a trade for Edwin Díaz. But to get Edwin Díaz, they had to take back a really bad contract. His name is Robinson Cano. If we put aside our issues with Díaz leaving, was it a good trade? The answer is yes. It's one of the better trades the Mets have ever made.
Right.
I'll give you another cross-sport comparison. I know there's not a lot of Net fans out there, but when they traded Cam Johnson to the Denver Nuggets and got back a really valuable future first-round pick for the Denver Nuggets, they also got Michael Porter, who was viewed as a negative contract.
Right.
They were taking on a bad contract to get a future first-round pick. Well, I got news for you. That bad contract isn't that bad anymore.
Yeah.
So that's what it's similar to. So get it out of your ears that they would be trading for Tua. They'd be trading for an incredibly valuable first-round pick. And to answer your question, I want next year's first-round pick.
Not this year's, next year's.
Yes.
Next year's put you in position, no matter what happens with Tua. Let's just say Tua figures it out. Frank Reich is his dude. He thrives. He's only 28 this coming season.
He just turned 28.
He's 28. He's year 28 season. Maybe he's your guy And all of a sudden, you don't have to spend it on a quarterback.
Yeah, but you see what you did right there? I don't like what you did right there.
Because you're also you're gonna draft a quarterback this year,
Yeah,
right?
but you're just
at some point, third round, whoever it may be. I don't know who Drew Allard, right? You take him late. He had so much potential, but obviously his injury history last season derailed his draft status for this upcoming draft. But you draft him, you basically stash him. Tua is your starting quarterback. He's okay. You might not have to draft a quarterback in 2027.
I don't like what you're doing here.
Why?
Because you're going to distract people. This isn't about Tua.
I'm not distracting.
Yes, because now people are going to get...
It is about Tua?
It's not, though.
Tua!
Like, I'm telling you, I think Tua's done. I think Tua's cooked. It's not about him. It's about using cap space and absorbing that abhorrent contract to get an insanely valuable first-round pick. And here's the problem with this brilliant idea. It's not good for Aaron Glenn. It's not, because it's going to hurt their chances of building their roster in this offseason. I get that. It's going to eat up a lot of their cap space. It's going to make Aaron Glenn's job more difficult in 2026. But I'm a Jet fan for the rest of my life.
Right.
I'm a Jet fan for the long haul. And for the long haul, tell me why you wouldn't do this, Jet fans. And don't get distracted by Tiki trying to convince you Tua's good. He's not good. But that's not the point.
But he has been good.
Okay.
My point is, why bring a player on your team if he's not good? Like, at some point, you have to start building your team with talented players. And I get that the quarterback market is not ideal for the New York Jets right now. This is both in free agency, via trade, or in the draft, because it's a one core QB draft this year,
right?
And that's Fernando Mendoza, maybe Ty Simpson, but we know what we're talking about here. It's going to be hard for the Jets to find that guy who helps them win. And the last thing you want to do is put mediocre players on a team that has been mediocre for a long time.
Sure.
And so if you're not all in on Tua, for Tua to maybe evolve into that guy, what's the point?
Well, the point is...
Because it's going to get your coach fired.
No. The point is to use your cap space as a weapon. And again, this is not my first rodeo with this, because I saw a basketball team do it.
Yeah.
I also saw, and I'll give you a football example so that there is history to back this up, on a different scale, I'll admit, is when the Houston Texans had to entice the Browns to trade for Brock Osweiler, and they included a second-round pick to make it happen.
I forgot about that.
Now, here's what happened with that. The Browns immediately cut Brock Osweiler.
Yes.
So... could the Jets do something like that? I guess. They could also try to restructure the contract so it's not a cap hit of $54 million. There are options on how to bring Tua in and not have it be just this massive cap hit in year one. But the Cleveland Browns were given a second-round pick just to take back Brock Osweiler, and they used it to draft Nick Chubb. So I'm not saying that's the end-all, be-all, but here's what I will tell you, Jet fans. If you use cap space as a weapon against the Dolphins and take back Tua's contract, screw Tua. Forget him for a second.
Right.
Because this conversation...
But you can't forget him. He's got $56 million on the cap.
Forget that.
And he's either going to be good or mediocre.
Okay, forget about that aspect of it, because I'm absorbing cap space to get back an incredibly valuable draft pick next year that, by the way, knowing the Miami Dolphins as LOL as we are, it could be a top 5 pick.
Right.
Are you freaking kidding me? So between us probably tanking and them sucking, we could have 2 top 5 picks. Is that worth it, ladies and gentlemen? Yes, it is. Forget Tua. That's worth it.
Yeah, but you're kicking the can. I just don't like kicking the can. And it's because of what we briefly talked about yesterday, what happens to a head coach's career record. And Aaron Glenn is a year away from just being a losing coach, right? He becomes one of those guys who you look at his record and that's who you think he is. Even if he could conceivably be a better coach than that, you are what your record says you are. It's a cliche that's been as long as football, at least modern football, and it works because it's true. Aaron Glenn's got to win. He really does.
This isn't appealing to Aaron Glenn unless Aaron Glenn believes, hey, Tua is 28 years old. I believe he's actually going to stay healthy. We'll put him in a really good position to succeed with this offensive line and the weapons he has. And there's still good left in him. Now, I happen to not think there's that much good left in him.
Yeah.
But if Aaron Glenn believes that, that's how you can convince him. But Jet fans, keep this in mind, because I read a great article by Michael Narnia of Jets X Factor, and I respect him. Basically, why they can't trade for Tua, why they can't acquire Tua. And I respect it.
Yeah.
I'm not arguing that Tua is the answer. What I'm arguing, and Jet fans, tell me if I can sell you on it, 888-808-1019, is cap space is awesome. but cap space can also be used as an enticement to get draft picks. And I want you to imagine next year. Next year is likely going to suck. I hate to admit it. It's probably going to suck. Now imagine if every Dolphin loss was so good for us due to a draft pick. That would make the season 56 times more fun.
Right.
The Dolphins lose, we win. It's like what I deal with the Nick Net Mikal Bridges trade, except you guys are too good.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I get to root against my rival knowing that their losses benefit me. Now, would the Dolphins do this? I don't know.
Yeah.
Are the Dolphins dumb enough and desperate enough, the Double Ds, to say, hey, we're going to give up an incredibly valuable pick to clear cap space? I don't know. If they're trying to win this year, maybe they will.
But they clearly are trying to move on from Tua Tagovailoa.
Yes.
That's correct, right?
Yes.
We know that for a fact.
Yes, they're either going to try to trade him or they're going to fire him.
I'd love to fire his ass.
Or they're going to cut him.
Right.
And then someone will sign him as a reclamation project. But in the meantime, they are trying to trade him. And I'd have that conversation. And again, because people only hear the big words, they only hear the headlines. This is not about Tua. If you call up today and say, Evan, you're an idiot, Tua sucks. No kidding.
Okay.
It's about the cap space.
Right.
And I have experience with this as a Net fan. It's smart, it's ingenuity, and it works.
Right. So my short thought on this is when you bring in a guy who's going to play, he don't really want, you get the Russell Wilson situation. And that was not good last year. So you're shoehorning him in for no reason. And again, I think the Jets are drafting a quarterback at some point in this draft. Wouldn't you rather just play that guy? Right? If he's ready, wouldn't you rather just do that as opposed to we're positioning ourselves from a year from now. We're going to lose. It's going to hurt the reputation of our head coach. He might get fired. The morale sucks. Nobody wants to come here because we're still the LOL Jets. And look at this. You got Tua, and you just did it for draft picks, and he sucked, and you still suck.
Let me answer that question this way. Before I even answer it, do you think, and this is the $1,000,000 question, this is how to simplify this argument in the easiest way possible. Do you think a cap hit of $56 million is worth a potential top 5 draft pick in the NFL?
I mean,
simple question. Answer it. Yes or no? Is it? I think it is.
$56 million.
That could be your future.
So you're now not. That's a free agent or two that you're not putting on this team.
I agree. Cam Curl, who just re-signed, we wouldn't have been able to sign him.
Yes.
And that sucks. But next year, we're good. Next year, the Jets are going to have $160 million in cap space.
How long are you kicking the can? It's like, all right, boop, let's kick that thing to 27. All right, next year. And then next year, you're going to be like, God, these guys kind of sucked in college. I don't really want any of them. Let's kick it another year. Like, you can't keep kicking the can.
I don't like kicking the can, but I'm also looking at the options. And being able to acquire in this alternate world,
Kirk Cousins can win now.
And what does that do for me? Seriously, great.
You win now. You draft who you need next year. That's what it is for me. And you're not spending $56 million on your cap this season, so that free agent build that is necessary for a lot of teams, and particularly the Jets, can happen now.
All right, so final verdict. Your answer is no. You would not absorb the Tua contract to get a first-round pick next year.
Not unless you believe that Tua can be your short-term future.
Yeah, I don't think so. I just want the draft pick.
So that means no.
That means no. Now, for you guys, the New York Football Giants, as we sit here.
No, we don't want Tua. What are you talking about?
I'm not. No.
That's the crazy thing. Tua is your backup to Jackson Dart. Oh, hell no.
I didn't say that. I'm asking you, as the face of Giant fandom right now, on the eves of free agency, give me the number one thing you want to have break Monday at 12 noon.
Tremaine Edmonds.
And he's available now.
And he's now really available because, I'm sure we all saw this yesterday, he was cut by the Chicago Bears because they couldn't find a trade partner. His number was, it's high, but it's not absorbent high. He's $13.9 million or so cap hit. But
and he's young. He's in the prime of his career.
He's 28 years old. Joe Shane was on the staff that drafted him in Buffalo in the first round a few years ago. And so there's some familiarity about his resume. He was a Pro Bowler when he was with Buffalo, not necessarily with the Chicago Bears, but that's probably because of the Bears and their Matt Eberflus-led team before, last year with Ben Johnson. And so I think he's a good player. You can get him relatively, I think, cheap on the cap. Like, the deal might be big, but the cap hit will be small.
Right.
And it's the biggest area of need. So to me, I want to see Tremaine Edmonds and potentially one of these available offensive linemen. get signed.
I expect Tremaine Edmonds to be a Giant because we had heard about Chicago trying to trade him, and we had heard about the Giants trying to trade Kayvon Thibodeau. And my gut would be that the Giants realize, you know what, this guy's just going to sign with us.
Yes.
So let's wait Chicago out. Let's hope no one else trades for him. Let him be released, which happened, and then we'll give up nothing.
Yeah.
And then if we trade Kayvon Thibodeau, it can be for a different asset.
Right. Now we can fill whatever need we have. And so to me, I want to see an impact linebacker. Tremaine Edmonds is the premier free agent that's available right now. Now there's some other guys available as well. You know, Roquan Smith and some others. I'm forgetting. What's the guy from Detroit we talked about yesterday?
Anzalone.
Yep.
He's going to be a Jet, so get your hands off.
He's going to be highly sought after because of how impactful he's been.
He's actually not going to be a Jet. You know what's going on with him? He's going to use the Jets.
Yeah, probably.
And then sign somewhere else.
Right.
Unfortunately.
But he's a good impact player. He's 30 or 31, so it's a short-term type deal. So it's for a team that wants to win and needs to win now. So I don't know if that's necessarily the Jets.
So Giant fans, what do you want? And Jet fans, would you take on that abhorrent contract if it meant getting an incredibly valuable first-round pick? We'll get your calls coming up. 888-808-1019 is the number. Plus, we have been on this for months now that Derek Carr wants to be a New York Jet. We have even more evidence now that Derek Carr still wants to be a New York Jet. We'll play it for you coming up in the next 10 minutes.